everyone, today I wanted to give you a quick update on the Idaho 4 murders. Some things that have come out in the press in the recent past 2 weeks or so regarding how Xana and Ethan were found, more information about the 911 call, as well as why it's suspected that DM didn't phone 911. So let's get into it. The first thing we'll get into is how Xana and Ethan were found.
We're learning more gruesome details about the deadly University of Idaho stabbings, including that one of the victims fought back as she was knifed to death. News Nation reports that Zana grabbed the knife of the killer and had deep cuts on her fingers. The report also says her boyfriend, Ethan Chapin, was killed in the doorway to her room and had a slit across his neck. News Nation reports that the victims Kaylee Gonzalez and Madison Mogan were killed first on the 3rd floor of the college home. After that, the killer made their way to the 2nd floor where Kernodle and Chapin were staying. Previously, a preliminary coroner report stated the students were stabbed to death and did not mention any slash wounds. Initial reports also said all 4 victims were in bed at the time of their murders.
Now, if you remember, the probable cause affidavit said that as the police entered Xana's room, they could see a body that was later identified as Xana's laying on the floor. And that also in the room was a male later identified as Ethan. So what do you think? Do you think that the news outlet is getting it wrong? Do you think they're focusing on so-called sources information because of the gag order and there is no information coming out? What are your thoughts on this? The second thing was regarding the 911 call, who made it, and more information about what was said.
We've known a lot of things, not everything, but the probable cause affidavit, some of the police reporting, and the news conferences, that's given us a small picture. But what we haven't known is what happened prior to the first responders arriving on the scene, and tonight I can tell you. You have heard that the 911 call was made from a surviving roommate's cell phone, but we can now tell you who it was who made that call. I'm not going to name the person, but it was Ethan's best friend who made the 911 call, and that's because it was Ethan's best friend who made the discovery of Xana and Ethan's bodies. And that is a very tragic and sad detail to report. Up until now, it had been an assumption that there was maybe an unconscious person because it was a guess that there was someone behind the door who wasn't answering a bedroom door. Now we can tell you that it was Ethan's best friend who had been called over that morning and made the discovery and took Ethan's pulse. Also called out to get 911 on the phone. Standard protocol, if there's confusion, just to skip the necessities of getting clarity and just dispatch the first responders for an unconscious person, regardless of what the actual situation is. So for anyone getting caught up on an unconscious person, probably not a good idea, given the fact that that's just sort of a standard description for get moving. We need people on the location. Again, this is multiple sources tonight with knowledge of the investigation telling us about who made the discovery of Ethan's body and then, of course, of Xana's body. What I can tell you is who made the discovery of Maddie and Kaylee on the 3rd floor. I'm not sure if it was any of the other kids who were called over. What is interesting about this whole scenario that played out that morning was that kids came over to the home and then 911 was called. So who knows if there was any knowledge of the carnage that had taken place in that home before the kids came over. I mean, it's college, right? It's Sunday morning after a fun Saturday night.
Now, the next thing I felt like we needed to talk about was reports coming out that DM didn't phone 911 because she thought that the person that she saw walking past her might have just been a guest of someone, but then in the affidavit it said that she was frozen in a shock. So what are your thoughts on this?
An update for you right now on the murder of 4 University of Idaho students. A source has provided more information about why a roommate who allegedly saw the murderer didn't call 911 right away. The roommate, referred to as DM in the probable cause affidavit, told the source that she thought noises she heard were from people in the house partying late into the night. The house on King Road was known for having lots of people in and out at all hours. 4 people were stabbed to death inside of that home in November, where 2 roommates actually survived. Now, DM, one of those roommates, told police that she opened her bedroom door at one point and saw a man walking by her wearing all black and a mask. She told the source that she thought he must be a guest of one of the other roommates. He walked right past her and she locked herself in her room. Now, no one called 911 until lunchtime the next day.
So what are your thoughts on all of this information? Please remember to leave your comments down below. That is where we will end it for today. I'll do another one on the updates on Bryan Kohberger himself. Until next time, stay safe out there, take care of yourself, and take care of each other. Bye.